All right. Good morning, everyone. People are starting to head into this mornings on the porch. So as you're joining in, make sure you have a little cup of coffee, a little something in your little tea, but we're going to get started. And people will be trickling in over time, but I'll just start off and say hello and welcome to our mornings on the porch. This is our last one before camp. Can you believe it? We are so close to the start of summer. My name is Savannah Lawrence. I'm the administrative director at Yosemite Sierra Summer Camp, and I'm just here to welcome you and also give you a few housekeeping rules. We will have a Q&A portion at the end of our conversation. So at the bottom, you can put any question in the chat or in the Q&A portion. We would love to answer any parent questions that come up. And we also have this Mornings on the Porch recorded. So if you would like to refer back to this, say end of May or mid-June, whenever your camper is coming to camp, please look back at our YouTube channel, but also on our website. We have our video diaries of our Mornings on the Porch. Well, without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to our other YSSC directors, and they will introduce themselves.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. We're so glad you could join us today. I'm Sarah Coolius. I'm the executive director of YSSC. Campers call me Salsa. And I'm so delighted joining me as my co-host today is Hannah, who is affectionately called Rue by campers, Hannah Helwig, who is our program director this summer. And some of you may have met her previously on, I think it was February's Morning on the Porch.
Yeah.
She joins us after a long history with YSSC. Back in college, she was on our summer staff. She has been a youth pastor for many years. She came back as a guest speaker a number of times in the last few years. And now she's with us all summer long, along with her husband, Teapot. And so kids will really get to know her deeply this summer. So
yes,
thanks
so
for
exciting.
joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Well, as those of you who are regulars with us already know, but those of you who are joining us the first time, Mornings on the Porch is, well, every morning early at camp, we join staff, especially leadership, on the porch with our coffee, and we talk through the day and make sure that we are ready to go, ready to provide our campers with their best intentional experience possible to accomplish our mission, which is to help children grow character, skills, relationship, and faith in a creative outdoor setting with enthusiastic staff. So it's kind of our get together, get us on the same page, let's do this well, and then we bless the day. So by inviting you into this Morning on the Porch, we're making sure we're on the same page with parents. And today's topic is a day in the life of a camper. You know, it's so strange for some of us to send our camper away, might be an hour away, might be a whole state or two away, to have a really amazing 2-week experience. And for it's kind of strange to not know what's going on every moment of the day, when often in our lives, you know, we kind of track our kids pretty closely. So we wanted to do this topic and this session for you, so you kind of get a gist of what a daily schedule looks like, and perhaps why we have laid out the day that way. You know, especially during the first, I would say, 3 days of a session, but certainly for the whole session, we're a pretty structured camp. We have a pretty regular schedule so that we make sure that all campers are getting to activities and having enrichment that we want them to have. And also, you know, we work with kids 8 years old all the way to 16. And for many of our children, having structure that they can count on is really calming and stabilizing.
Absolutely.
Also, sometimes too much free time can feel like scary time. Where do I go? Where do I need to be? And so we have eyes on kids all day long, and we like our schedules, don't we?
We do.
Yeah.
It's very helpful.
Yeah. So Rue, why don't we launch into, will you just talk us through what's
Absolutely.
a normal day at camp?
Absolutely. Yeah. Would love to talk you through an average, normal, maybe 80% of our days at camp look like this. Got some photos to go along with this to share with you. So let me be a tech savvy person. I'm not a tech savvy person,
I'm
and
so-
get them pulled up.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
Wow, only a few clicks. So our morning at YSSC begins with our wake up bell, which is at 7 a.m. For some of our campers, 7 a.m. cannot come soon enough. That is way too late. They are awake and energetic at 6 a.m. For those campers, we encourage them, stay in your bed, maybe go to the bathroom if you need to, but otherwise, let's keep quiet until the wake up bell. For other campers, especially our Unit 2 and 3 campers who are in their teenage years, 7 a.m. is way too early. But either way, 7 a.m. is when we get up, and campers immediately have about 30 to 40 minutes to use the restroom, to brush their teeth, to put on a pair of shoes. And then they join us just a few steps away from the front door of their cabin for flag raising. This is the next part of our day. And flag raising really serves two purposes for us at camp. On the one hand, we do literally raise a flag on a flagpole, as you saw in that last photo. But on the other hand, it's kind of a roll call in the morning. Did everybody make it out of their cabin? Did everybody put on a pair of shoes to start their day? And this is often a time when campers, as a cabin, will prepare a skit or a silly song or recite a Bible memory verse together, and they are earning points for their team in this overall throughout the session competition that we do between Team Yosemite and Team Sierra. So these are some of the creative, fun ways that we introduce healthy competition to our campers. It starts at flag raising during the day, during the morning. The next thing that we'll head to right around 8 a.m. is breakfast. Now, I know what you're thinking. This cannot possibly be a photo of breakfast. And you would be correct. This is not a photo of breakfast. But usually people aren't too chipper about their photos being taken first thing in the morning. So this is a photo of dinner, but you can use your imagination, which we do a lot of at camp. But as you can see from this photo, in our dining hall, we sit around round tables. And that is how our meals are served. Food is brought to the table, and then we serve and eat family style rather than going through a buffet or sitting at long tables where you can only really see the person to your right and your left and immediately in front of you. Around the family style table, our campers are learning how to have conversations with each other, how to make eye contact. They're learning how to share as they pass a dish around and make sure everybody gets a little bit of the banquet cake. Everybody gets a little bit of the salad because vegetables are also important. And that helps us equip our campers with the types of character and skills that they'll need to be a productive member of a team someday, to be a productive member of a family as well. So that's what meals look like. Usually not as many smiles because some people aren't morning people, but that's okay. After breakfast, we head into cabin cleanup. I don't have a photo of this for you, so we'll leave it on our dining hall. But cabin cleanup is a really short period of time in the morning, which is exactly what it sounds like. You clean up your cabin. And unless it's absolutely necessary, we don't whip out a vacuum cleaner or anything like that. But it's an opportunity for our campers to tidy their things, maybe put their dirty clothes in their dirty clothes bag within their drawer under the bed. It's an opportunity to straighten their bedding. And so we're teaching them how to participate in the care of their space, how to steward well a space that in part belongs to them. But once the cabin is clean, they can also have the opportunity to decorate it along the lines of a theme. It's very important to us that we do clean before theme. You can't decorate a dirty cabin, but if your cabin is already clean and you want to access our costume closet for any number of props or costumes, and you want to decorate your cabin as a zoo and you pull out all the stuffed animals or whatever it is, you can earn points again for your Yosemite or Sierra team. So that's cabin cleanup. After cabin cleanup, we head into discovery time. And this is what we at YSSC, the term that we use to refer to cabin-based small group Bible study. So other camps call this different things. It's small group Bible study, but we call it discovery time. And we have a curriculum that we've put together that is age and stage appropriate, that coincides with our camp theme, which we'll be announcing soon. Hopefully you had the opportunity to vote on our camp theme, but it coincides with our theme, and it's an opportunity for campers to sit down with their counselor, to find a space such as here on the basketball court, to open the Bible, read a Bible story about the person of Jesus or the people who followed him when he was alive on earth, and to learn something about who God is and who we are. So we do that for a period of time called discovery time. After that, we head into our morning activity period. And it isn't always on the lake, but it is a special day when you get assigned a lake activity. But each morning, we have about a 2-hour block for morning activities. And our activities, it's not a free-for-all. You don't get to do whatever you want to do. Instead, we have a team of activity specialists on our staff who meticulously schedule and assign cabins to an activity each morning and each afternoon. That way we can make sure that every camper gets to experience almost everything that YSSC has to offer. I say almost everything because some of our activities are based on age. There are certain things that we do just for our youngest campers, 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th graders, that our high school campers aren't going to do, and vice versa. So our activities team makes sure that across a 2-week session, every cabin gets to experience as much as possible amongst the couple dozen activities that we have to offer. So whether you're banana boating or you're at archery or you're learning a craft, you get a fun 2-hour activity period in the morning. After that, we head to lunch. You already saw a little bit of what our dining hall looks like, so I won't show you another photo of that. And after lunch is one of my personal favorite times. I used to be a counselor on staff, and this was one of the best times of the day. Maybe not the best, but one of the best. And we head into cabin kickback. Here's a photo of what a cabin looks like. Usually there's 4 total bunk beds, sometimes 5, but here's a good idea of what a cabin looks like. And cabin kickback is this glorious 45 minutes to an hour just after lunch when everyone heads to their cabin to rest and digest. And it's lovely. You don't have to take a nap, but you can. This is a great time for campers to read the mail that they've received from their family and friends. It's a great time for them to write back snail mail, maybe even learn how to address an old-fashioned envelope. That's fun. But cabin kickback is a quiet period for campers just to rest and to settle in for the afternoon after they've just eaten their lunch meal. After cabin kickback, we head into another activity block. This one is also about 2 hours long, and it's a different activity than the morning activity period. So maybe you spent your morning on the banana boat, and now it's time to climb the Tower of Power. Or maybe you spent the morning at marksmanship, and now you're headed to the nature center. Whatever it is, the afternoon activity is different than the morning activity and gives our campers a different opportunity to learn new skills, to talk about the character that is coming out of them as they practice those skills. You know, shooting a bow and arrow requires patience. At least it does for me. I am not very good at it, and it is frustrating to not hit the target. And so we're learning resilience, we're learning endurance, we're learning patience with ourselves and others as we acquire these new hard and soft skills at camp. After our afternoon activity period, I don't have a photo of this for you. We head into 45 minutes to an hour of free time. This is a great opportunity for our campers to take a shower. Sometimes that needs to be suggested, other times it doesn't. It's a great opportunity to take a quick nap or to make a friendship bracelet with your friends in the meadow, or to play gaga ball, or to head to the canteen, which is our snack shop and souvenir shop. So our canteen stocks a great variety of healthy snacks that campers can purchase through their canteen account. But you can also pick up a YSSC water bottle or a stuffed animal or a fun souvenir to take home. So all that takes place during free time. Then we head to dinner. Don't have a photo of this for you either because you already saw our dining hall. Dinner time, usually our campers like to invite another staff member to join them. So at their round table, that is their table for the entire session. They're there with their counselor, but oftentimes at dinner, they'll invite another staff member who isn't their counselor to join them. So maybe they had nature in the morning for their morning activity, and they loved learning from our staff member trinkets. And so they invite her to come and sit with them at dinner. And this is so important to us, that our campers have the opportunity to get to see all different kinds of young adults who are worthy role models, who are adults who love Jesus, who have good character, and they get to see their own personality as a camper reflected in somebody on staff. And dinner time is a great opportunity for that relationship building. After dinner, we enter the fun period of camp where things are no longer quite so cabin-centric. You know, throughout most of the day, up until about free time, you're mostly just doing things with your cabin. You're eating with your cabin, you're at activities with your cabin. Maybe you're partnered up with a second cabin for an activity, but for the most part, you're just with your cabin group. After dinner, we enter into more of an all-camp period for the rest of the evening. So we typically have an evening meeting of some time. A lot of times it's on Star Rock. Here's a photo of Star Rock for you. It is a beautiful setting. It is quite literally just a very, very big rock. But you can see the stars. And for many of our campers, especially those who grow up closer to city centers, we don't get to see a lot of stars. There's too much light pollution. And so it's a beautiful space to sit at a campfire, to sing some songs, to share stories about our day. This is often when we'll hear from our guest speaker is at Star Rock or in the meeting hall at our evening meeting period. After that, we head into another fun time, which is either an all-camp game of some kind, an adventure game. It could be a dance party, it could be a talent show, but we have our evening programming. When we say night game, really a better word would probably be dusk game, because usually the sun hasn't quite gone down, so it's easy to see. Nobody's, has a tripping hazard as they run through camp chasing down the spy that they have to catch, or maybe a whole bunch of wacky characters have been released into camp, and that kind of looks like my counselor, but it also looks like a dinosaur, and I think I'm supposed to capture them and bring them back to the time machine that they have been released out of. Whatever the narrative of the adventure game at night is, it's usually very fun, and it almost always involves very silly costumes. So please look forward to the photos that you'll see from that. But again, whether it's a night game, which we don't do every night, or it's a dance party or a talent show or a movie night, we have some kind of all camp activity in the evening just before we go to bed. And then finally, I'll leave it on this fun photo for you. As we're wrapping up our day, we head back to our cabins, we brush our teeth, we put our pajamas on, and we enter into cabin recap. And this is just a couple minutes at the end of the day where our counselors model for our campers what it means to reflect on our experience. I've heard it said that we don't exactly learn from our experience, we learn from reflecting on that experience. And we want to help our campers develop that skill of reflecting and growing as they do so. So often cabin recap will look like sharing a high and a low from the day, or here's something I learned when I was at the top of the rock wall and shaking, but so proud of myself for doing something that seemed impossible. And campers get the opportunity then to share about their day at cabin recap. And then last but not least, it's lights out at the very reasonable hour of 9:30, which again, for some of our campers feels a little bit too late. They're yawning during the night game and they're maybe used to going to bed closer to 8:30 or 9, and we help them push through until 9:30, maybe even 9:15 if everybody in the cabin is asleep already. But for other campers, that feels way too early. They're used to staying up much later, but that is our camp-wide lights out. And then our non-counseling staff gets to come around and sing this beautiful goodnight song to all of our campers to wish them well as they go off to sleep. So that, my friends, is a day in the life at camp, a normal day in the life at camp. And again, that covers, maybe 75 to 80% of the days, but that isn't what every day looks like, right, Sarah?
You're right. Thank you for walking us through the daily schedule. That was really fun to me. It feels like I was there. Yes, some of our days are special days with a special schedule. For example, during our 2-week sessions, every camper will have at least one offsite adventure, actually 2 offsite adventures now that I think of it. We love to take advantage of the beautiful Sierra that camp is located in. So our campers who are 7th through going into 7th through 10th grade are going to do a 2-night, 3-day adventure in a camp out or backpack experience. And it's all right if they've never been on a camp out or a backpack, because these are introductory trips. We're teaching introductory outdoor skills. We have all the equipment. Just if you look at that what to bring list, you'll notice a sleeping bag that can be warm enough to 40 degrees and some sturdy either hiking shoes if they're broken in, no new
If
ones,
they're
we don't
broken
need
in.
that, or just sturdy athletic shoes that they do sports in, totally fine. And so kids really get to experience the outdoors in a new and fresh way. And it's so fun when they've hiked a peak together or made an outdoor cooking dinner and they've learned new skills there. It's a delight. And they also see God's handiwork in a whole new way as well. Now, our younger campers, our unit ones who are going into 3rd through 6th grade, they will spend a whole day hiking in Yosemite National Park. And Guy, that's just a delight. So many of our campers haven't been there before.
Yeah.
And it's about an hour and 15-minute drive away on large charter buses, very comfortable, bathrooms on board. And they'll spend the day hiking with in small groups with their counselors and other guides. And so that's a really fun off-day adventure. Another possibly favorite day for campers, we have a day called either Outpost or Uzumati. And one day a session, all the boys will load up and drive about a half an hour from main camp to a ranch property that's a little higher elevation up in the Sierra for a fantastical capture the flag-esque adventure called Outpost. Friendly, fun competition, ridiculous prizes, points for your team. It's a favorite day for the boys. But don't worry, just a couple days later, the girls are all going to load up and go to the same place and play their fabulous version of the game called Uzumati with chance and competition and sneaking through the forest too. These are favorite days.
Absolutely.
So offsite is groovy. We also have a day here and there where the schedule's changed up and again, not a little less cabin centric, where we have a chapel time on Sunday for all of our campers and an opportunity to affirm each other by exchanging flowers. It's called Flower Sunday. We have a carnival-esque day where all the staff attends to different activities around camp and kids can hop from one to the next. And again, it's that imaginative family building time, kind of breaks up the regular schedule. And I will add the second week of a session, campers have an opportunity to choose topics for their discovery time. So while they've gone through a cabin curriculum that's age appropriate and really high participation through the first week, the second week, they might get to choose a seminar that's based in biblical truth and creativity about maybe how to be a better friend. Or how do I maintain my values as I'm an athlete in high school? Or how do we deal with stress and anxiety? What are some things that the Bible tells us about how God can bring us peace? And so campers get to kind of choose how to dive deeper into a topic that they're interested in. So those are always a treat as well. So that's how we kind of spice up a 2-week session. The beauty is that while this is happening, we are posting photos on a daily basis. So you can kind of get a gist of what's going on at camp. Now we have 3 talented photographers on our staff, but they have a lot of pictures to take. So it tends to be heavily based around cabin activities. And we post 100, 150 a day or so. Our hope, our goal, parents, is that you get to see a picture of your kiddo at least every other day. Might be every day most of the time, but at least every other day. And these pictures are in action. Some of them are posed, but a lot of them are in action. And we hope that that is really giving you a sense of what life is like at camp in that day. So I will add just a little reassurance. Sometimes we'll get a call from a parent and they'll say, Logan looks very concerned in that photo. And I'm just checking on him. Well, Logan likely was concentrating to shoot that arrow. And remember, these are candids. And so if you do have a concern about a picture, you're welcome to call the office and we'll check into that and get back to you. But do remember that, you know, we're capturing children in the midst of their discovery and their adventure, maybe their thought process. And so not everyone is going to be beautiful and posed. Well, those are fun too. We want you to see kids achieving and trying hard and making friends and also being really silly.
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly don't always smile when I'm concentrating. So
No?
that is a great note to yeah.
Oh, I always do. Yeah, no.
Always camera ready. But yeah, as we talk about the schedule, both the special days, the offsite days, the regular days we have at camp in a 2-week session, we realize it might sound like a lot. And it's true. It is a lot. It is a lot of adventure. It is a lot of joy. It's a lot of play. It's a lot of learning. And we hope that your child comes home from camp and says, that was the most fun I have ever had. Truly the best 2 weeks of my life. So we realize that it sounds like a lot, and we unapologetically are saying, yes, it is. But what it isn't, what our schedule will never include, is chaos, because that's not helpful. It's really important to us that there is margin in the schedule in order to transition well from activity to activity, in order to not have to sprint everywhere we go to make sure we get somewhere on time. So while our schedule is full from the morning bell at 7 a.m. until lights out at 9:30, it's not chaotic, it's not rushed, it's not too much, but it is a lot. So that we just want you to know that is really important to us. We bring a lot of intentionality into how we program any day at camp, regular or special. And it's very important to us, to make sure that campers have enough time to truly enjoy it and don't feel like they're just scrambling to get to the next thing because there's too much packed in there.
Yeah, I agree. It really is. We run camp like we run our family. And that's how it was designed, from tucking a kiddo and singing a lullaby at night to having, you know, a healthy pace. That's important to us. And we have seen through our 50 years that is good for our kids as well. And I will add, you know, it's helpful too when kids are coming to camp, not too exhausted, you know, coming to camp healthy. In our family handbook that y'all have access to, there is a little section about health at camp. And one of the best ways we can partner with you, or you can partner with us, is making sure that that your kids are coming rested, making sure that they're coming healthy, that they've been hydrating in the days before and eaten healthfully too, so that they can be ready for this very big experience. And have the attentiveness to make those friends and try again and just have an adventure of a lifetime.
Yeah.
So
and that family handbook, real quick, is on our homepage, YSSC.com, in case you haven't seen it yet, or if you've not yet registered and you're still thinking about it. The family handbook will give you a great idea of how we prepare our campers and their families for camp. So that's on our homepage if you haven't seen it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Well, I hope that as we've gone through this whole schedule that you have sensed our intentionality, that you have noticed just how focused we are on our purpose, our mission to help kids grow character, skills, relationships, and faith in the funnest way possible. Hey, I want to ask Savannah, back to you. Do we have any questions that have come in that we can answer for parents before we wrap up this session?
Yeah, thanks for tossing it over. Just a reminder for anyone who came on and didn't hear the opening, we are taking any questions. It looks like we had one already come in earlier just about asking if this is a recorded webinar, and it is. So you will have access. You will receive a copy today, and then we will also have it on our website as well as on our YouTube channel. So feel free to cruise back to like the first one we did and compare, but you will have access to lots of information. Well, I do have a couple questions. These questions are actually quite common, especially as we're gearing up towards camp. But this first one is more about the facility or just the site location of camp. And the question really is, how big or small or in between is the camp size? And does my child have enough time to run back to their cabin to grab something or go to the nurse if they get hurt? I think it's helpful for parents to know that. So that's a great question.
That is, you know, the center of camp is quite intimate.
Yeah.
Right. So to
Yeah.
get even to from the farthest cabin to the dining hall is a 5-minute walk. We really are centralized. Where you saw that picture of the flagpole, that's kind of the center of camp, and around it are all the cabins and dorms and activity centers and the dining hall and the health center as well, and even Star Rock. I think it's probably an 8-minute walk to get to Marksmanship, or if they're hiking to our waterfall up the creek, that's about a 10-minute walk. And then walking down to Lakefront, we have our own little private trail called Chemo Trail that is on the way down there. And but depending on how long your legs are, it's a 10 to 15-minute walk. So, so we aren't that spread out, and that's helpful for, because there are times I'm like, oh, I was going to bring that letter to mail at lunch and I forgot, let's go grab it. We can do that. Or, hey, I got a blister, at Marksmanship on my finger. Hey, let's just go quick and get a Band-Aid from the health center. So, we're pretty intimate that way.
Absolutely.
I like it. It's good for our size of camp.
Yeah.
I do want to add, just you said Band-Aid. A great reminder and refresher is that we actually have first aid kits all throughout camp. So say a kid needs a Band-Aid, we got them everywhere. So they don't necessarily need to go to our Club Med to receive a Band-Aid, because all of our activities are equipped with such things. So, and I will say Band-Aids do, at least for me, I will somehow have a few Band-Aids. Well, with the Club Med in mind, a question just popped up. I also have another one from another parent. So Carrie, we will answer your question shortly. But I have a question around medical provider. Do we have someone on site at our Club Med or our health center?
Oh, yes. Thank you for that question. So our health center is staffed by 3 individuals. For every session, we have a seasoned guest RN who is with us for that whole session. We like the consistency piece. These nurses are often pediatric nurses, maybe a school nurse, and gosh, this summer, every nurse, it's their 3rd, 4th, 12th summer with us. So that is our on-site professional. Additionally, we have, we call the health center Club Med, because it's so much more fun to go to Club Med if you have a sore throat, or if you need a Band-Aid, then to go to the health center. So at Club Med, we have a Club Med manager who is that consistent leadership role through the whole summer, and then a Club Med assistant who is helping with dosing out regular vitamins and medications at mealtime and that kind of thing. Can take a temperature if a kiddo feels warm, and maybe give them an ice pack if they have a bruise on their knee. So those 3 are on site always. In addition, we have an on-call pediatrician who is actually he was a former staff member and counselor himself way back in the day, but now is a full-fledged Dr. Rufio. And so when we have, more intriguing questions, we can be on the phone with him or send him photos. And then in town, our closest town, which is called Oakhurst, we have urgent care and medical clinic. For example, if we want to go down and check on, is that a sore ear? Is that an ear infection? Let's go check that out, and we can get meds prescribed there. And then finally, if we would need to go visit an ER, which doesn't happen on a daily basis at all, that's about 55-minute drive away. So we really do have, we feel remote, but we really do have good medical attention close by when we need it. And please know, if you watched our last morning on the porch, we actually had one of our guest nurses on that one with us. But know that in addition to the health history and physician's exam information you provide to us about your kiddos, we will always call you if it's something more than general first aid. If your camper has a fever and needs to sleep in Club Med for the evening, we're going to call and let you know. If there's a recurring stomach ache that might be unusual, or something's up, we're going to call you. If your child is coming to camp and is finishing a round of antibiotics you know, or is coming off an injury and you're curious, let us know and we'll call you. So we really do want the health center, Club Med, to be in touch with parents as much as possible. Our goal is for you to feel very connected to camp.
Awesome. Just a follow-up question. It was you did answer this, but I would love for you to say it again. Our registered nurse, so our guest nurse, are they authorized to administer over-the-counter medications?
Perfect question. You get to authorize that. So on the health history for your camper, you can indicate which over-the-counter medications. We are fully stocked. You don't need to send ibuprofen. We've got that. But you get to indicate, yes, all these various meds, I give permission for the nurse to administer. If you don't want them to, indicate that as well. And if there, say, is a headache and you prefer not to have Advil or ibuprofen, Tylenol, then we'll use other methods, a rest time with some cool water, and we'll work on it through other ways. So you give us the authority. And if we have questions, we will call you. And then also, if you send prescription meds, they need to be in that original packaging. It'll say that in a number of places in the what to bring list and in the health history that you'll provide us, and we'll administer that by exactly what it says on that little you know, container of the original container of medications.
I also want to share too that the Club Med team does go over every health history. So say you made a mistake or you just went through it and didn't click all of the over-the-counter medications you'd like for your child to have, they will call and just double check with you. We also mentioned in the last webinar, if any new thing comes up where your child needs to take new medication or just something has come up prior to camp and you've already submitted that form, let us know so we can give you access to update, or we can do it over the phone with you, whichever is easier. But basically what I'm trying to say is we want to have the most current information when your child is there. But just know we do a thorough check prior so we can catch if anything was missed or anything like that. Well, great. Well, I'm back on because I only thought there were a few questions, but we have some very thoughtful questions from parents. So I'm going to keep going. I am going to go to the one that you asked, Carrie, and then I'll go to your following one. But this was just about care packages and what are we allowed to, or parents are allowed to send in terms of care packages. So if one of you want to take it.
Care packages can only be sent to staff. Just kidding. Kind of kidding, kind of not though. Yeah, in an effort to promote equity amongst our campers and to ensure that all of our campers feel like they can be present at camp and to not trigger even accidentally any homesickness, we ask that no care packages be sent to camp. So unless it fits in an envelope, please do not send it. Even if it was going to be fun cabin decorations or a snack to eat on the bus ride home, or I don't know, a photo. I guess you could fit a photo in an envelope, so that's fine. You can send a photo in an envelope. But yeah, again, the value behind this policy is we want to make sure that all of our campers have a relatively similar experience of camp. So imagine if you're the camper in a cabin and everyone but you has received this huge box with a new sweatshirt and a cool pair of Crocs and a new book and all these fun things, you would feel pretty left out. And it would feel like, wait a second, why didn't my family send something to me? Or why didn't my grandma know that something could come to me? And so we're really trying to promote equity. It also is very helpful in limiting the outdoor critters that could potentially enter a cabin if there's any food in a cabin. So yes, please do not send any care packages. If it fits in an envelope, please feel free to send it. And instead, if you did want to send cabin decor items or you wanted to send a snack for the bus ride home, you're welcome to pack that with your camper in their luggage. Decor items they can just put up right away as they get into their cabin on arrival day, and snacks we will keep safely for them away from where a squirrel could get into it and return that to them on the final day of camp.
Yes. And we do send plenty of food home with them on the buses as well. So a snack isn't
not
really
necessary.
necessary.
Yeah.
I'll add one more thing about care packages. there were many years where parents worked very hard to send a really thoughtful care package, and campers actually don't have a lot of time to attend well to it.
Mm.
And so that was hard to get home and have a camper say, well, you know, I just actually didn't open it.
Mm.
Or I gave it to all of my cabin mates.
Or didn't arrive on time.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah. And so camp is so full. And so like most sleepaway camps, especially long residence ones, we do have a no care package policy. Now, what if your child forgot their toothbrush? We've got those in the canteen and in the health center, and we will provide that to them. But sometimes it's something important like their retainer.
Yes.
Please call Savannah, yay, in the office and say, hey, I've got to mail up the retainer. And then you can send it to the attention of the office, and the office will get that item to your child. So we don't want them to go without something important, but include us in it. Otherwise, that will automatically get sent home, and we don't want that to happen.
Yeah, just to share a couple things, Hannah, you hit the money right with just what you were sharing, but just to be clear, if it does fit in an envelope, we're not referring to your envelope is a care package. Your envelope should only have letters in it or photos. But if there's anything extra, it then starts to turn into a care package. So just please be mindful of that. And again, if your child missed something, more often than not, they're writing a letter home saying, I don't have this, or they're coming to a supervisor or director and say, hey, I actually forgot my retainer, or I forgot my shower shoes. I will reach out to you and make sure that we are communicating on when to send something, or hey, it might be medication, you forgot to send it, or kid forgot to pack it. But I would highly encourage two things. One, once you know the theme, if you're able to bring something, go for it. We do have a costume closet. This is the most common question I get around what to bring. But if you want to bring something fun, a costume, or even something as simple as streamers to decorate your cabin for your child, those are two great things to pack. I myself love doing that when I was a camper at YSSC. I would highly recommend to not bring food, because sometimes your kid forgets that they have food in their luggage, and then some critters come. That has happened before. And just know they have opportunities to eat all throughout the day. We have a fruit bowl in the dining hall as well as snacks at the canteen. So they are well fed and good to go. And just know that those things will cause less headaches for your camper when their bag of Cheez-Its is broken into by a critter. But yeah, just communicate with our office if you guys have anything missing. So that's super helpful. Well, great. Well, just a couple more questions. I have a question just around, do we have a library or something similar where we have board games or anything fun like that?
Great question. We do have a very small library of great age appropriate books in our meeting room. Kids are welcome to bring their own books, of course.
Yeah.
And a number of our counselors will actually read to their campers at bedtime. Even 16-year-olds love being read to at bedtime.
They love it.
So we have all manner of great books, Chronicles of Narnia, just some really good choices. And so if kiddos need, they finish their book, they forgot to bring a book, or they want to just try reading at Kickback for the first time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we can have that covered, and you're also welcome to send one along if you want.
Just two more questions. So you had mentioned that we will be calling parents, say something more than just general first aid comes up. But what are other situations where you may need to have a phone call with a parent?
Oh, what a good question. You want to do that?
Question. Sure. Cover anything that I missed.
Awesome.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. This doesn't happen super often, thankfully. We truly do serve the world's best campers. Your children are fabulous, and we hope that you know that. You should be very proud. But every now and then we'll have a behavioral issue come up. And if it is not very easily resolved between camper and counselor, and maybe another camper is involved, if it's beyond like you said a silly joke and it hurt their feelings, and we can do some conflict mediation on site. If it's escalating, or if a pattern is emerging of a behavior that is problematic, we will call you to get some insight and to have you guide us as we work with your camper to ensure that they can stay at camp. So behavior issues are typically something, medical issues as mentioned, beyond you know, a splinter needs to be removed or you need a Band-Aid for a mosquito bite that you won't stop itching. We'll call you for those kinds of medical things. I think those are the two main ones. Is there anything else?
Yeah, and like we said, you said it well, you know, we're going to call a parent and get your input to help us help that camper be successful, your camper be successful. So we're going to work together on a behavioral thing. The only other thing that sometimes gets a call, besides maybe if a credit card, you know, is out of date and we need a new number, is on occasion we'll call if a camper has some sticky or, you know, ongoing homesickness. It is really normal for our campers to have moments of homesickness. Staff do too. It's very common. The research is over 80% of campers will have moments in the first two and a half days when they're at camp, because they love home and they miss you. That is a good thing. And it's a wonderful skill to be able to tackle that. I can miss home and love home, and I can be fully here. And I can tackle my homesickness. So we love helping kids tackle that. And for the most part, it almost always resolves for every kiddo by day 3. So know that we're on that very well. We train on that. We structure those first 3 days very thoughtfully around that. But there is an occasion now and then, maybe 1 camper a session, maybe 3, maybe none, where that homesickness sticks. And if we aren't able, with all of our strategies, able to figure out in the first 4 days, we're going to call you for your strategies. What else can you tell us? Is there something else we can do? Is there a way we can tuck them in at night? Is something happening at home that is making them, you know, feel more lonesome than usual? So we'll involve you. We likely will not have you speak to your child because that is a big homesick trigger. And so we don't have kids talk to parents because it often will make them miss them rather than help them. But we might ask you to send a letter that cheers them on in a specific way to help them, like, we know you can do this. We can't wait to hear your stories at the end of the session. So I guess I would also add, parents, please don't, if you're anxious that your kiddo's anxious or going to be homesick, or they express that they might, role play with them. How to tell their counselor, hey, I'm kind of feeling homesick. Can you help me with that? And our counselors will totally attend. But parents, please don't say, hey, if you get homesick, I'll come pick you up, because that will make homesickness stick. And we've unfortunately on occasion had a parent promise that, hoping that the child would forget, but the child doesn't forget. And then they don't get to tackle their homesickness. And then parents are sorry they said that, and the kiddo still needs to go home then. And we want every child to be successful. So we'll work with you. We'll call you if that homesickness sticks. Sometimes a camper won't tell us. And if you get a letter on day 4, and it says, Mom, Dad, I'm homesick, call Savannah, call our office. There's a chance they wrote that on the first night of camp and they are fine now. But the office will do some reconnaissance and we'll check and see, and we'll call you back and let them know. So don't panic, but do let us know, because if that child's been holding that inside, we want to attend really well, but the likelihood is they're fine now. They just needed you to know how they were doing on day 1.
Awesome. I will say one thing you had said, Sarah, you know, say we need some recon from the parent on how to best help the camper with homesickness. You had mentioned, oh, we can get a letter to them. We don't mean send it in a post office. We can just have a letter. You could write it down on a piece of paper and then we could take a picture and send it. Just know that would be expedited. We would make sure that child gets your words that same day. So don't think that you have to wait 3 days to get that resolved.
Thank you for adding that. That's good.
Well, great. Well, last question. Thank you to everyone who is still on with us. I know we all are getting these great questions before camp because we're right around the corner. But the last one is, if this is their camper's first time coming to camp, should they watch this video to prepare?
Oh gosh,
that's a great question.
That could be great. If they're a camper who likes to know what to expect and likes detail, absolutely. Not all kiddos might want to sit and listen to the whole thing. You could tell them,
Mhm.
But I certainly know some campers that the more they know, the more they can relax.
Yeah.
And so I would think that would
Yeah.
be fine. I don't think we gave away any surprises,
I
did
don't
we?
think so. Yeah, now they know that their behavior is being watched just in case. But yeah, that would have been me as a camper. It would have been very helpful for me to have somewhat of a framework of what to expect my day to be like.
Or what the inside of the cabin looks like.
Yeah, totally. So especially if this is your first time,
Yeah.
especially if you're younger and having somewhat of a structure, somewhat of an idea of what to expect can really help minimize the anxiety of, am I going to be prepared when I get there? And I don't have my phone and I can't just call someone or scroll on social media. And that's usually how I cope with my anxiety. So yeah, depending on your child, it could be very helpful. You'll also see on our website, if you scroll to the bottom of our homepage, there's a link to our FAQs. And within the FAQs, we have a written out version of a typical day at camp. So if perhaps for your camper watching this whole MOTP is not helpful for them, but they would rather just see what a normal day is going to look like. When do I need to wake up? When am I going to be allowed to eat lunch? Things like that. That's another way that you can show them what a typical day at camp will look like.
Yeah. Also, the YouTube page and watch like a highlight reel of a summer. I always encourage parents, we have a parent's perspective video on our homepage, but for a kid that may not resonate with them as much because it's a mom talking about the growth of her children. But we have really fun session recap videos, summer recap videos on our YouTube. So look that up. There's fun music and it's super fun. It gets me excited. Sometimes I watch them and I'm like, here we go, 6 weeks, woo! Just know that it's really helpful and it's great. Well, my last question, I can answer this one. It was just, how does a camper get to buy snacks or something else they want? So we do have a camp store, which we call the canteen. Prior to them arriving, you do have the option to add funds to their account and also pre-purchase some other items like a camp sweatshirt or a 32-ounce Nalgene that has our logo on it. Really
That's
great.
a water bottle.
Water bottle, thank you. We are about hydration. We drink water all the time. It is over communicated and we are always role modeling that it is important. So at the camp store, which is open a few times throughout the session, it's not every day. We do have fruit bowls that are available in the dining hall throughout the whole day, but they do have opportunities to buy snacks like Cheez-Its, Capri Suns, Italian Ice, Otter Pops, those basic things. We do not offer soda or anything that would dehydrate them because that's not the goal. But they do have opportunities to buy snacks and buy little stuffed animals and things like that. So thank you for your question. One more just came through. We're going to keep going and then we'll wrap up. But this question, which is a great question depending on how old your child is, but what about sunscreen? Are kids asked to put it on and are they supervised while they're putting it on?
A great question. Yes, sunscreen is very important, especially for those of us with much fairer skin. Yeah, we don't want anybody to get sunburned because that can ruin a day very quickly, but also help you develop resilience, but not in the way that we want to. In any case, definitely sunscreen is important. We encourage campers to pack sunscreen, that you'll see that on the what to bring list. We also have sunscreen available. So if a camper did not remember to bring it, that's the kind of thing that you could call the office and say, oh my gosh, I forgot sunscreen. I'm going to send 2 bottles to the office and we'll get that to your camper. But we do also have it available. A lot of sharing is caring with sunscreen. And yeah, campers are supervised, especially our younger campers, to apply it and to apply it properly. It is not applied for them. Campers are putting sunscreen on themselves and not on each other. No one's putting it on them but themselves. But our counselors will supervise that process, especially if you have a lake activity. There's a whole process we go through to make sure you've got your swimsuit, you've got your towel. Let's put on sunscreen on any exposed areas, maybe a hat, maybe some sunglasses if you're really going for it. And once we are all completed with that process, then we'll go grab our life jacket and take the 10 to 15 minute walk to the lake to start our activity. So it is definitely a supervised process because otherwise, you could miss a spot. You could totally miss a spot and have a weird situation with lines at the end of the day.
Yeah. Counselors will help with the middle of the back, that part
Yes.
right there that we can't reach.
Kind of hard to reach.
Don't worry about that too. But no, sunscreen's really, really important. And we will do our darndest to reapply.
Yeah. Another option, if you're nervous, if you have a younger camper, say entering 3rd or 4th grade, and you're not sure how well they're going to do at applying their own sunscreen, minus that part of the back that they can receive help with. Another option is to get a rash guard, like a UV shirt. They have UV protection built into the fabric. You can get a short sleeve one, a long sleeve one. That's a great option over a swimsuit in order to eliminate, a whole half of your body. You don't have to put sunscreen on because you have a long sleeve shirt on that's doing the job for you. So that's a great option as well.
Good recommendation. Yeah.
Just know that sunscreen parties happen all day, and we put some pizzazz around it. So more often than not, there's a few, Unit 1 girl cabins out on the deck just going crazy with the sunscreen. So that's awesome. We also do have sunscreen in the camp store. So say you realize you did not pack it and you call me, I will say, great, we'll take care of it. I will go into the canteen, even if it's before it's even open, and I will pull one out and I'll just add it to the canteen card. So that's super easy. So just communicate with us. We have everything that your camper might need. Yeah. Well, great. Well, we went through a lot. I think this might be the longest we've ever gone. So thank you for those who have been with us. It has been such a treat. I know I'm excited for camp. I know your family is, and your campers. So we are just excited as we get closer to the start of summer. So if any questions come up, anything at all, please reach out to our office. Even now, even when we transition to summer, we will definitely be there to answer any questions that you might have. Should I close? I'm not sure. I can close.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Hey, so goodbye. We will see y'all this summer. Again, we do have some room in each of our sessions. So if you have friends or if you haven't enrolled yet, do so soon.
Yeah.
And gosh, we will have the best summer of learning and growing together. Take care, everybody.